Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
Prosecutors argue against a no-case submission in the Frank Smith trial.
Workers at the Grand Lucayan Resort are not discouraged over delayed payments. We have the details straight ahead.
A former social services minister is speaking out on the current minister's comments, or lack thereof, on rape.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. The Frank Smith bribery and extortion trial continued today, with the prosecution arguing a no-case submission brought by the former PLP senator's defense team. The lead prosecutor told the court that their star witness, Barbara Hanna, is not a liar as painted by the defense, but simply made some mistakes about key dates in the case. Jasmine Brown has been following and has more.
Joining Smith and his family in court was former Prime Minister Perry Christie and current leader of the Progressive Liberal Party, Philip Brave Davis. Wednesday's proceedings started with lead defense attorney Keith Knight QC spending 2 hours recapping his arguments for a no-case submission. Prosecutors allege that Hanna had to pay Smith $5,000 per month after he helped her company Magic Touch Cleaning get a $500,000 contract to clean the critical care unit at Princess Margaret Hospital in 2016. At the time, Smith was the chairman of the Public Hospitals Authority. On Tuesday, Knight urged Chief Magistrate Joy Ann Ferguson Pratt to reject what he called Hanna's unreliable and discredited testimony. In court on Wednesday, Knight argued that discrepancies undermine the prosecution's case. Those discrepancies are based on when Hanna said she met the man she is accusing of bribery and extortion. The defense has claimed Hanna's own testimony proves there was no meeting before Hanna was awarded that $500,000 contract by the PHA board. She had testified that she met Smith after receiving special instructions from Davis in March 2016. The PHA board awarded Hanna the contract in December 2015, and she signed the cleaning contract in January 2016. During his rebuttal, Edward Jenkins QC argued that Hanna was not untruthful in her testimony, but mistaken about the dates, an occurrence that he says is not uncommon in the justice system. He began his arguments by stating that the prosecution contends there was a meeting between Hanna and Smith before December 2015. He pointed to Hanna's previous testimony in which she stated that when Smith allegedly requested she pay him $5,000, she asked him why he hadn't told her that before, so she could have increased her bid. Jenkins also contended that if there is no evidence Smith and Hanna met before December 2015, then charges should fall away. In response to that comment, Knight insisted he had evidence that would end the case right then and there. He produced the record of interview that showed lead investigator Ewell Johnson questioning Smith about a meeting with Hanna in 2016. Knight said Superintendent Johnson's reference to March 2016 showed unequivocally that there could not have been a meeting in 2015. He said based on Jenkins' comments, there was no need for the trial to continue. His comments prompted a visibly upset chief magistrate to ask whether the investigation was flawed from the start, as she insisted she was most unhappy. The chief magistrate will determine whether the prosecution has produced sufficient evidence to require Smith to present a defense to allegations of extortion and bribery. Now, Smith, his legal team, and prosecutors are expected back in court when the case is expected to resume. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
All right, thanks, Jasmine. Well, just days after opposition leader Philip Davis insisted government is throwing money into a black hole by investing more into the Grand Lucayan Resort on Grand Bahama, the Minister of Finance today clapped back, insisting government is still working within its budget on the sale.
We are within our budgeted expenditure for this project. Certainly the goal is still to sell it to a third party as soon as possible, and that's what we're focused on.
Government purchased the resort last year for $65 million, with $30 paid up front, as opposed to revive the struggling Grand Bahama economy. But the Minnis administration has also run into much more in additional costs, like the voluntary separation packages. And while the opposition has come down on the government for pumping so much money into the hotel, Turnquist said he doesn't agree with calling it a black hole.
Again, when we're talking about people's lives, when we're talking about the economy of our second largest city, there's no such thing as a black hole. Spending without a plan is a black hole.
According to the government, there are more than 10 potential buyers interested in purchasing the hotel, despite the previous government not being able to facilitate a sale of the troubled resort, even before receiving extensive damage in 2016 from Hurricane Matthew. Lucayan Renewal Holdings Limited is the special purpose vehicle established by the government to handle the process and is also responsible for finding a new buyer.
We have put forth a plan to the Bahamian people. We've put forth a plan to the employees of the Grand Lucayan and to the community of Grand Bahama, which is an important aspect of our overall recovery, and we are working that plan.
There has been mixed reaction on the ground in Grand Bahama about government's decision to purchase the resort. The Prime Minister has stated his administration isn't in the business of owning any hotels, but that this was in the best interest for the people of Grand Bahama.
So to the extent that we're investing in the people of Grand Bahama and to the people of this country, I don't see that as a black hole. It is an investment. And we are doing so with a clear goal and objective in mind, which we hope to be able to execute and finalize in short order.
Well, since negotiations began last October, it's been a bumpy ride for managers at the Grand Lucayan Hotel who are fighting to be paid what their union leader says they are owed. Jillian Gray has that.
And his position is, I'm going to give $2.7 million and take that or leave it. Well, you know, I wanted to say something, but I attend Zion Baptist Church, if you follow me. And I thought I could say it. But certainly, I would not be moved by nonsense.
The Bahamas Hotel Managerial Association is still in the throes of negotiations with Lucayan Renewal Holdings, and they are showing no signs of letting up. President of the union, Obie Ferguson, said it is unreasonable for the board to offer below the amount that the 90 managers at the Grand Lucayan are owed. When negotiations started, Ferguson said they proposed a payout of $5 million, but later changed that offer to $4 million and accepted a 3% reduction in annuity to show the board that they wanted to negotiate in good faith. He added that the board is making it seem that the union is being unreasonable, but workers are simply trying to receive the full benefits owed for the years they've worked.
I don't know how we can be unreasonable. I don't know, as a matter of a leader in this movement or as a lawyer, how could I agree to less than what the law provides? What kind of leader that's supposed to be? Or what kind of lawyer that's supposed to be? I can't do that. So if they expect me to accept less than what the law provides, Obie Ferguson, I ain't into that.
This week, the Nassau Guardian reported that line staff at the hotel could receive double the amount previously recommended by the board. However, no word is yet on if the managers will receive the payout they're bartering for. Payouts for workers were expected to be complete by Christmas. However, those payments were late due to a delay in having the funds transferred from the consolidated fund to the board. While negotiations and delays have dragged on for months, Ferguson said his workers are not discouraged.
My vice president in Grand Bahama had a meeting 2 days ago, and it's about 99.9% of the workers standing firm, because why would they? How could they agree? How could they agree to accept less than what the law provides? And not only that, they will now be going on the street. Ain't like they have a job after this. So then, Bahamians ain't stupid.
Ferguson dodged the idea of industrial action in this matter, stating they are not yet at an impasse with the board. Now, seeing as talks have labored on for some time, the union president has taken his fight a bit higher.
I sent an email to the PM on behalf of the workers, and I expect we will meet. We have done it before, we've done other things. I take a little adjusting here and there, but I am satisfied that no government that I know would put the workers at a disadvantage. I don't see that happening.
Now, Mr. Ferguson said he's not sure how long negotiations will take, but said they are willing to fight until workers are paid what they are owed. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
In other news, former Social Services Minister Melanie Griffin is slamming current Social Services Minister Frankie Campbell's reaction to being asked how his ministry would address an increase in reported rapes. With more on this, here's Jared Higgs.
I really find them incredible and unbelievable.
That's how Griffin described comments made by Campbell. who dismissed questions by reporters related to what his ministry was doing from a primary prevention standpoint to address an increase in reported rapes in 2018. On Tuesday, while speaking to reporters outside of Cabinet, Campbell twice moved reporters' microphones away, telling them the issue of rape doesn't come under his portfolio. Griffin says, contrary to what Campbell believes, the issue of rape and rape prevention is relevant to his ministry.
He specifically states that rape is not under his portfolio. And rape and all issues regarding women and the family, and even men and boys, okay, come under that portfolio.
Campbell also told reporters that social services is about poor people who need food and other social assistance. Pointing to the existence of the Gender Affairs Bureau, Griffin didn't agree.
Social services is more than that. Much, much more than that. Much, much more. It is multifaceted. It covers, we always say, or they always say in social services, from the cradle to the grave.
Now, Griffin, who served as social services minister on 2 non-consecutive occasions, says she sensed fear in Campbell's comments.
Why? Why couldn't he respond? When I say a level of fear, to me, like there might be some ministerial infighting. You know, you crossing over into my portfolio. You see what I'm saying? But everybody has to know there's hardly any portfolio that is just in one ministry. You know, even in social services has to work with housing. We have to work with the police.
Griffin says while rape clearly falls under the purview of the police to investigate, Campbell ought to have known better than to respond the way he did. Conceding one point, Griffin says he's doing a better job than his predecessor, current Youth, Sports and Culture Minister, Lanisha Roll.
I really felt that he brought a breath of fresh air to the ministry as he came in, and that my information is that he was certainly doing better than, you know, who was there before, and more open.
The 2018 crime statistics released last week by police revealed that the number of reported rapes increased by 6% overall from 52 in 2017 to 55 in 2018. On New Providence, reported rapes increased by 22% from 36 in 2017 to 44 in 2018. Commissioner of Police Anthony Ferguson said last week that increased police presence in hotspot areas is expected to make the apprehension of sexual predators easier. Reporting for Our News, I am Jared Higgs.
All right, thanks, Jared. Well, members of Parliament and senators kicking the year off with a bit of worship this morning at Wesley Methodist Church. After a long Christmas break, the parliamentarians began with a brief session in Parliament, then to the church along Blue Hill Road where they sang and prayed and got a word from Bahamas Christian Council President Bishop Delton Fernander.
Except the Lord build the house, they that labor, but in vain. That God is raising you up to a place that He'll use the unexpected. He'll use meager resources. They didn't think much of us, but look at what God has done. They didn't think the Bahamas could do all that it has done, but look at what God can use. People set aside for the purpose of God to accomplish.
Several religious leaders were also in attendance and led about 15 minutes of prayer following Fernander's sermon. Fernander said for the parliamentarians, it's all about moving from great to greater in 2019, as he encouraged the government to use whatever resources it has for the advancement of the country.
We must look at ourselves and see where we are and really stop lending a blind eye to it and really find the passion and creativity that abides in us to rebuild the broken places, to touch the people that are hurting in our society, to create the stability that we all yearn and long for.
Still to come, we hear from the Marijuana Commission, plus the finance minister defends the prime minister's trip to Belgium. Stay tuned.